You're watching NDTV 24/7. My name is Kitty Behel. We're starting this edition with a top focus. The Trump administration seems to be lacking clarity on their stance on India. In a fresh development, the White House advisor Peter Navarro has labelled Ukraine conflict as Modi's war. He's claimed that India's purchase of discounted Russian oil has burdened American taxpayers, while saying India could get a 25% reduction in US tariffs if it stops buying Russian oil. Peter Navarro referred to the conflict as influenced by India, saying the path to peace runs in part through New Delhi. While Navarro has largely maintained the same stance, his colleague, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, seems to have gone back on his original stand and has said that he has hope for the relationship between the two countries to come together eventually. The top Trump administration official has said that India-US relationship is very complicated, but also at the same time he's added that he believes the two sides will eventually come together.
Let's get you details as far as, the Trump administration. That is, there's just not one front that India is battling. We have this six-pronged war as far as the United States, particularly Donald Trump, on India is concerned. To begin with, the tariff war. This is the 50% tariffs that has been imposed now on India, that has come into effect as of Wednesday, the last 24 hours alone. That is impacting the Indian exporters, and the impact has been tremendous. We are seeing the impact playing out as far as the markets are concerned this morning as well. And this is something that is going to impact particularly when it comes to the exporters of garments, of apparels, of textile, gems, as well as, whether it's furniture, whether it's shrimps, whether it's, multiple sectors that have been hit because of that tariff war that started just as of yesterday. We're talking about furniture, carpets, jewelry, all impacted because all these sectors are now going to become unviable in the American market, jeopardizing low-skilled jobs in India. As far as diplomatic relationships are concerned, do remember that has been affected as well. The once a bonhomie that was on display between Trump and Modi, calling him a great friend, a terrific man. Today, the relationship faces a serious crisis and, of course, requires an urgent reset, which has taken years in the making. We're talking about at least the last 2 decades, and we have seen that play out as far as the Biden administration was concerned, as well as the Trump administration, and the Howdy Modi event that has been, etched in everyone's mind. And of course, all that at stake here, diplomatic relations, hitting an all-time low now that we've seen ever since Trump came into power the first time around. And we've seen the relationships going, pillar to post, going strength to strength, but now at its all-time low as far as the relationship is concerned. Now, we're also seeing, as far as, Operation Sindoor is concerned, and the claims that Trump has made repeatedly over 40 times that he's the one who put an end to that conflict, and that is something that he has gone on to claim. But of course, we do know Prime Minister Modi and the Indian government has refuted those claims time and again. Even yesterday, Trump went on to say that he threatened India with tariffs in order to put an end to the conflict. In fact, it is Donald Trump saying that if the two countries, India and Pakistan, again, are to have a bone of contention, and, if there was to be a conflict, that he would step in again if the need be. Again, making those claims that he is the one who has brokered peace between the two nations, and it took about 5 hours to do that. Now, when we talk about the H-1B visas, the Trump administration is planning to change the H-1B program, the most sought after non-immigration. This is the visa amongst, this is something that benefits most Indian IT professionals, and also they are going to bring in changes when it comes to the green card process as well. On what grounds? They say the average American is making $75,000 a year, and the average green card holder is only making $66,000 a year. So why should they go with this? They are saying that this is now going to be based on wages, and that is the impact that the Indian worker and the Indian student living in the US will now have to face. And we are going to be seeing a significant impact when it comes to that consistent 70% share when it comes to the H-1B visa allocations. That is basically the Indians making up 71% share of the H-1B visa. Now, also there is a new restriction that's coming about, and that is being considered. Why? Because of the concerns of national security, national interest, and misuse. That is what Donald Trump is saying, which is why now foreign students will have a restriction. The restriction is no longer than 4 years. It's not just for foreign students. This also includes exchange students. This also includes people from the media, journalists as well. And there is a restriction. So now when it comes to journalists, they can't stay longer. If that time frame is less than 300 days. But when it comes to journalists from China, that's even less than that. It's coming in at only 90 days. But when it comes to foreign students, they can't stay in the United States for longer than 4 years. Now, also the energy security, that is something that is very crucial to both the nations. That is fundamental to the economic growth as far as India and the US is concerned. But of course, you know, India facing the tariffs, facing all these issues. Why? Because it's buying Russian oil. And while pitching you know, what the US now is doing is that America could serve as a major supplier of oil and liquid, you know, as far as natural gas is concerned. That is something which now is the, you know, carrot that is being dangled. Well, you know, of course, Prime Minister Modi there standing his ground and saying that everyone looks out for themselves. Everyone in their economic interests will look out for themselves. And he has gone on to say that he's not going to back down. And of course, he's going to be saving the farmers and now also finding alternate routes when it comes to saving the exporters back home as well.
The Indian situation is very interesting. A lot of people don't know this, but prior to Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February of 22, India India bought virtually no Russian oil. Let me say it again. Prior to the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, India bought virtually no Russian oil. I mean, it was like 1% of their needs. So the argument somehow now, as the percentage has gone up to like 30 and 35%, and then they make refined products, which they sell at premium prices into Europe, Africa, and Asia. It's strictly profiteering by the Indian refining industry, big oil. Now think about India when you think about the tariffs we're putting in place. 25% because they cheat us on trade, 25% because of the Russian oil. I ask you this, what is the net impact on the Americans because of our trade with India? Well, let's think about it. They have higher tariffs, there are Maharaja tariffs, higher non-tariff barriers. We run a massive trade deficit with them, so that hurts American workers, hurts American businesses. And then the taxpayers lose because we got to fund Modi's war, okay? The road to peace runs at least partly right through New Delhi.
War?
I mean Modi's war.
Let me ask
because the road to peace runs in part through.
Yeah, that clearly shows the dichotomy between the comments that the US administration has been making. On one side, Scott Bessent has clearly stated that India-US ties are quite strong and any moment will be back to the next level. But on the other hand, Peter Navarro has continued his tirade against India, and this time he has clearly stated that it's Modi's war in Ukraine. That's the strongest attack from the US side ever since the Trump tariff war began. But it clearly shows the differences within the Trump administration itself, and it will have to be analyzed by experts, by people in the know, that why is it so that the US administration is continuing with its tirade, even though there is no proof to its statement, because evidence suggests that China is the biggest importer of Russian oil, so it has to also have the same kind of punishment that India has been meted out. But that's clearly not the case, because India is facing one of the highest tariffs in the world at 50%. On the other hand, China has been able to evade those kind of tariffs. It has time and again gotten extensions. It's under the third extension right now as we speak. A 90-day extension has been agreed upon. So all of that has been criticized, and back home in the US as well, the Democrats have also clamped down on the administration, saying that the ties between US and India have been hit due to the Trump administration. There's no proof to these statements, these attacks, and it's about time that the Trump administration stops speaking on these terms and tries to negotiate some kind of deal.
While confusion continues to persist in the Trump administration over its stance on India. Meanwhile, the Democrats' U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee has slammed President Donald Trump and his administration for singling out India over its purchase of Russian oil, even as China, which is one of Moscow's largest crude exporters, faces no such penalties. The Democrats have said that Trump's 50% tariffs on Indian imports are hurting Americans and sabotaging the US-India ties built over the past 2 decades of bipartisan efforts. Also, we are learning now government sources have said that there is no cause for panic over the 50% tariffs imposed by the US on Indian goods, saying that communication channels between New Delhi and Washington remain open to resolve the issue. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had also acknowledged that the bilateral trade relationship is very complicated, but said that at the end of the day, we will come together eventually. All right, some more news that we're tracking at the moment. After US tariffs on India kicked in earlier, RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat has now underlined the importance of self-reliance and swadeshi practices in international trade, cautioning against undue foreign influence, with an indirect reference to US 50% tariffs being imposed by the US on India, which have come into effect. His remarks echo what PM Modi had said a few days back from a stage in Ahmedabad. Well, we understand now Mohan Bhagwat has now asserted that we should not succumb to pressure. He was referring to, of course, US imposing tariffs on India. Listen to what he had to say.
आत्मनिर्भर होना यानी बाकी लोगों को बंद करना नहीं है, आत्मनिर्भर होना है। लेकिन दुनिया परस्पर निर्भरता पर चलती है, कुटुंब भी परस्पर निर्भरता पर चलता है, और इसलिए अंतर्राष्ट्रीय व्यापार तो चलेगा और उसमें लेन देन होगी। बस इसमें दबाव नहीं होना चाहिए, स्वेच्छा होनी चाहिए। और इसलिए स्वदेशी का पालन करना, देश की नीति में स्वेच्छा से अंतर्राष्ट्रीय व्यवहार होना चाहिए, दबाव में नहीं जाना चाहिए।
पूज्य बापू की धरती से देशवासियों से भी मैं बार बार आग्रह कर रहा हूं, हमें जीवन के अंदर एक मंत्र बनाना है। हम जो भी खरीदेंगे वो मेड इन इंडिया होगा, स्वदेशी होगा। घर की साज सज्जा के लिए जो भी सामान हो, मेड इन इंडिया हो। यार दोस्तों को गिफ्ट के लिए कुछ देना है, उपहार वही जो भारत में बना हो, भारत के लोगों द्वारा बनाया गया हो। और मैं विशेष रूप से दुकानदार भाई बहनों को कहना चाहता हूं, व्यापारियों से कहना चाहता हूं, इस देश को आगे बढ़ाने में आप बहुत बड़ा योगदान कर सकते हैं। आप तय कर लीजिए, विदेशी माल नहीं बेचेंगे, और बड़े गर्व के साथ बोर्ड लगाइए कि मेरे यहां स्वदेशी बिकता है।